Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Happy spring. Happy Easter if you're catching this at Easter time. And if it's some other time, happy day. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I want to bring up something that a lot of people really think is just fanciful thinking. It's maybe in the realm of imagination or delusion. I'm not sure which. I don't get a lot of feedback on it because I don't ask. I just know what I experience. And I like to share it because the New Earth paradigm is teaching us and showing us, if we're open to it, that all kinds of magical things are lying dormant sometimes all around us. And there are latent possibilities, of course, upon us everywhere. It's a matter of what we're willing to believe, what we're willing to conceive, and what we're willing to open up our heart, our mind, and our energetic presence to receive. So let me tell you, I set you up with the other day. There's been a lot of very oppressive energies. There's a lot of very dark stuff happening on the planet. We're going through some pretty harsh transits and some pretty harsh alignments, and a comet zipping through, Mercury retrograde coming. I mean, just all kinds of stuff, and a lunar eclipse. We're on our way to a solar eclipse. So there's a lot of very harsh energies that can be very difficult for a human being who's unawakened or doesn't really understand, is not, as fully aware of what's going on energetically. It can bring up all kinds of symptoms. It can bring up a lot of fear. It can bring up a lot of the unknowns. And many times people that feel fear go to anger. That's a very common progression, of emotion. And unfortunately, though, when it's unregulated, people are really pressed, and it's gotten very dark and, very, very combat style in a lot of places. And so I wanted to share something that was a lot less, that, because a lot of my stuff recently has been very dark oriented to try to deal with that. And this is one of the ways that I do this. And I had no idea. I'm always so delighted whenever I get asked to go somewhere and I get these, amazing experiences. Like, this is really cool. This is amazing. Thank you. And I know I don't have to be surprised or, amazed every single time. That by now I'd think, I'm going to get this, that sometimes it won't surprise me anymore. However, I kind of hope I never get tired of it. It's like Christmas, every single time a new present gets opened, like, wow, this is really cool. So anyway, I was, the last few days, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I don't know, recently, I had to take my cat in, and I was quite concerned because, he had a major problem that he needed emergency surgery. I was pretty sure that we were headed down a road that was yuck, and so I was already a little bit bothered with that. And but I kept getting the reassurance that just go up the road, take him to the vet, and when you go, don't take your dog. I usually take my dog to go hiking, and that's what I was going to do, because the place that I was guided to go is not close to my home, and the vet isn't either. I chose that place because the vet is not close to my home. And so the place that I was guided to go doesn't allow dogs on the trail. And I thought, okay, that's weird, because he usually goes with me, to these different places, unless he bows out or, something like that comes up, that 333, thank you, that I know, yeah, he's not coming with me. Okay, well, he's not. So I was driving up there, I had my kitty, and I kept getting that reassurance that he's fine. You definitely need to get him where he needs to go. You've left Hondo at home, and you're going to go here to this park, and I've been to this state park before, and had some pretty amazing experiences there. I think I've only been there one time. I went hiking there one time before I got Hondo, and I took Hondo over there one time to go camping, tent camping, and saw a ringtail cat. If you've never seen one of those, look that up, because it's a bizarre little creature with all kinds of spiritual meanings. But anyway, I dropped my cat off, and yeah, we have reason to believe that he's going to be here for a minute, so just go on ahead and hike and give us a call in a couple hours. And so I went over to the state park, and I started hiking, and the snow, there was a lot of snow up in that area, upwards of 30 inches. So I always keep my snowshoes in my car, and I started hiking, and oh yeah, I'm gonna go and get my snowshoes. And I'm so glad that intuition, speaks, because I could have very well slogged my way through the snow that was at the beginning of the trail, and then of course, you know, the sun had melted off, you know, all these areas, and I thought, what am I doing? You know, I could have probably just gotten through this, and all the chatter of my mind was starting to get all, you know, stupid with itself and with me about, well, I should have done this, I should have done that, and like, you know, just shut up. I got my snowshoes on, and I'll clunk through the trail that's dry. There's a reason that I listen to myself, and, you know, even if I have to take them off and carry them, you know, shut up, stop this battle inside me. Whatever's doing that, just sit down and be still, you know, be quiet. It's not necessary. And so I was already feeling a little cranky. My cat's in surgery, you know, I'm not sure exactly how that's going. Felt pretty confident that I kept getting the drop in. He's fine. You just need to do that, you know, get him over there and let them take care of it, and you go over here and mind your business, you know, and stop, you know, with all the chatter about it. And for whatever reason, my mind was all kinds of stupid and busy with it, just, yeah, you know, whatever. And so I had my snowshoes on, I'm trucking through, and the first part of this trail is fairly uninteresting, which is not a slam on Mother Nature. It's just, it's heavily trafficked in the first mile or two, because people that are camping there, that's about as far as they go to scratch up the trees and, you know, etch their names into the rocks and stuff. And so I find it bothersome. It really, it disturbs me to see that kind of defacing and that kind of sacrilege, you know, against divinity. And so I was feeling kind of, you know, cranky about it or whatever. And it just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Like, okay. And finally, I made it past like this threshold. It was really weird. It was like going past a curtain or something, or, you know, the wall, like you went over the wall. And I felt myself like, oh my God, the look of the snow changed, the trees changed. It was like this whole new city that I'd entered into. And what I discovered that I was being introduced to is realms of existence in the non-3D, whatever realm. I know a bunch of people have all kinds of Ds mapped out and stuff. I don't get into that too much because it just breaks my brain too hard to try to remember all that. I just know that it's a seeing, hearing, and perceiving things that the average person would not see, and that I myself do not see in 3D. However, I started hearing like almost this elfin type music, you know, like druids or something were gathering somewhere. And what I was introduced to, I took 4 miles in and rested for a while at a frozen lake, and bonded with a boulder for a bit, and then 4 miles back. And it was hilarious because it ended up being 8 miles, and 8 is very significant to me. And 4 is foundational, you know, building, so, or the foundations of, you know, anything. So anyway, as I was going and I'd gotten past that threshold, I started feeling just all of this melt away, and this kind of different music that I don't remember ever consciously hearing before like that. And then there was like this chattering. And so I stopped, you know, I was just asked to please stop. And I looked over at this tree, and I don't know what kind of tree it is. I need to look it up because it's really a neat looking tree, but it has almost like this eye, like the eye of Horus almost on it. It's got a bunch of them, the little knot holes probably, I would imagine. I don't really know, but it's got those, a really thin trunk. And I looked over and I was like, oh, this tree is looking at me. And of course, you know, for half a second, my monkey mind wanted to jump in and say, what kind of, you know, nonsense is this? I went, wait a minute, hold on a second. We've already argued about snowshoes, and we got past that. We're past all that, you know, defacing and, you know, all that, you know, crap that, nah, we passed some threshold. So if I'm going to bother to believe that I'm listening to spirits guiding me here, I'm listening to my team, I'm listening to all of this non-3D, then what is wrong with me that there's a tree that's asking to speak to me, that's saying, hey, you know, do you see me? And so I literally said that. I'm like, I do see you. I see you. And this whole conversation came through that as I was walking, it was almost like going through different villages of this whole other plane of existence. It's a little bit hard to explain, but if you have seen a movie, you know, or something where it's been completely fantastical, you know, never-ending story, things like that, it was almost like that. And I couldn't see it like that kind of a movie. It's just, it's in there somehow of just knowing that that's what's there. And it wasn't anywhere near as busy as that. But what shocked me and really, was profound to me is that when I acknowledged this tree and heard myself saying, yeah, I see you, do you see me? That this tree and the tree was actually introducing like its companions or its tree family. I know it sounds kooky, but it was like saying, these are, brothers, sisters, children, these are the tree family, and we have others that live here too. And they were magical beings of some kind. I don't really know. I didn't get a lot of, I didn't stop to interview everything that I was, walking through, because in Humanville, I was on a time schedule. And so that's taken into account, I'm sure, that, you're not here for the investigatory Rona Barrett experience. You're just here for the, the drive-by kind of, just to get into what this is about and be introduced to a whole new realm of these kinds of existences that are here, that are waking up and quite alive, on planet Earth, and how you can communicate with them and how you're asked not to, because I just kind of assumed that any place that wants to communicate with me would let me know, and that, if I wanted to communicate with them, I would just need to, ask them, hey, and we'd start a dialogue. And boy, was I a bit shocked and oh, how arrogant, human, that take a step back and sit down for a minute, because I actually got to different parts of this hike that there was an area where I felt my head go down immediately of reverence, and I was like, oh, am I not supposed to be here? Is there something, that's asking me not to be here? Is there something wrong with this? 1111, thank you. And it was, no, they are sleeping. And I said, sleeping? What do you mean, like sleeping? I didn't know that trees and what have you slept. And I still don't have a firm answer on that. It's none of your business. Just keep moving. What you need to know, Kate, is that they're at rest. They're not communicating, and they're not angry. There's no upset. There's no, nothing here. It's just simply observe the fact that this is a quiet zone. This is a library, if you will, and observe it as such, and keep it moving, 1144, and keep going. And as I pass this big, huge boulder, rocks are some of my favorite, especially boulders that like hugs, I'm a tree hugger for sure, and I'm a boulder hugger. If they allow that, which I assumed also that every rock wants to be touched and hugged and loved on, and that's simply not true. It doesn't mean to me that the natural world doesn't wish to make engagement with human being. It's just that they have their own vibrational frequency too, and they have their own identity as different things. And I can't say I completely understand all that. That was just kind of a walkthrough of here you're being introduced to this new understanding. So I'm not sure. I guess it would be no different than me as my own energetic person with my skin, that sometimes I don't really want to be touched, even though I love you very much. I may not want to be touched right now because that's just not a sensation that's really grooving me for whatever reason. I'm going through an upgrade, or I just feel kind of tired, or whatever's happening. I don't mean to put the anthropomorphosis on a rock and say the rock doesn't want to be touched because it feels funny. I don't believe they experience the sensation the same as we do as human beings. However, it's been clear to me that no, not that rock, not that tree. However, this boulder, I came to it and I suddenly started giggling, and I could hear other giggling, like mirthful, this little giggling. And I was like, who's in there giggling? And what are you giggling at? What are you doing? And it was like this very childlike fairy, fae, deva, I don't know what, within the rock. It wasn't the rock itself. It was within the rock, or living in like the crevices and stuff, these little sprites or something, little dancing of light kind of stuff, that they were just giggling like little children, except they weren't children. It's ancient knowledge. However, they were very mirthful, is the word that keeps coming up, and just giggling and dancing. And I started hearing music again. Like, this is the coolest stuff. It was different than the other stuff. It was more like something I've heard before, maybe Celtic or something. I'm really not sure. But it was playing in the background. And then I looked at the boulder, and it had this green moss on it, and it had some icicles and a little bit of snow. And that's when, I asked, oh yeah, let me, before I go hugging up on this boulder, because sometimes I have been known to just kind of walk up and Here's a hug. Okay, I've never been spit off a rock or anything. However, I'm more aware now that, yeah, don't just be doing stuff, assuming that everything wants to be touched, loved, and hugged the same way at the same time just because you do. It has nothing to do with how much it loves you or doesn't love you. It has nothing to do with that. I'll tell you so personally. So I stopped and I said, oh, you are just so beautiful, and you're hosting so many different forms of life, so many different forms of energy that are so happy, and coexisting in this forest on this trail where up there they're asleep, over there they're doing this, and over there, this big guy with his family, and stuff. I said, what are you doing, and can I come next to you? Can I hug you? Can I touch you? And I was given a very specific place. Again, no idea why. I just was listening. Hey, if we're going to believe that I'm being spoken to, then we're going to listen to what I'm hearing. It's not telling me to do something, harmful to myself or anything else, then I'm going to go with this and trust it. I'm so glad I did, because I touched the rock where it asked me to, and it was right over some very green moss. And that was kind of soaked with runoff from the snow. And I said, why here and not on the dry spot? And it had something to do with the conduction of the energy through the life itself on the rock, on the boulder, the organic life itself that was growing upon the boulder, and also the moisture content right there, that water is a great conductive medium for energy. It's possible, I did ask, is it possible I could touch anywhere on this rock or anywhere else and be able to give and receive, energetic messages? And it was given to me that, yeah, it's sort of like calling, that you get better reception in some places than you do others. And so we're just guiding you to a place where you're going to make the phone call and have better reception, use that organic moss right there, touching with great, care, that don't just be there fingering it or something, because it's alive too. And it's got water, it's got dripping icicle on it, that it's a conductive material that just, makes that call a little clearer. And honestly, it kind of went into some place that I don't really remember a whole lot of what that conversation was, if there was a whole lot more about it other than how it is that, we're communicating, or at least I'm being given to communicate with nature in this way, is that there's better ways to be able to communicate that are part of the natural world already, that very much resonate with human beings and our bodies. Yes, it's possible to pick up something that's less, organic material. However, if you have something there, then you don't have to well up all that extra magical power. You don't have to be all that X-Men about it. You just move I can change where I'm standing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And that made it so much simpler for me to understand that, oh, okay. So, and this is how it is too, that in that lucid dreaming state, that it's not astral. For me, that's not an astral experience. When I've had astral travel, or when I'm doing astral travel stuff, that's definitely a very different experience, and I know I've gone somewhere when I get back. But lucid dreaming is not that kind of experience for me. Typically, it is simply that, like calling up, a tree, and I'm phoning somewhere that's distant from me or dimensionally separated from 3D. The veil is gone, thin, non-existent, whatever, that there's great reception between 3D and all the other Ds that, we're reaching into. And so that's how it was explained to me, is that, however you can get there to accept that and believe that this is a lucid dreaming state where you're not leaving your body. Because, I did wonder, like, how what is this? Are you sure this is what this is, and not just, latent craziness or something that's just leaking out, it's finally coming out again. No, it's not that. It's that when there's an astral experience, and sometimes I have had astral experiences in the woods, but typically that's just we're showing you dimensionally, because you're in a phone line or a communication or a portal of understanding, a gateway, however you want to know that or receive that information. It's understanding that call's been made and you're being given the information via that. It's not that I am leaving my body to go somewhere else and see what I'm seeing. I'm being given the ability, the gift, really, to just pick up the phone and, phone it in, zoom it in, which is really cool. But that would make sense because, and it does make sense, because the way that we're reaching out and touching nature and connecting the crystalline grid and, you know, healing and doing all these things and going into New Earth, which has a very, very, very different vibration and a different way of seeing and perceiving, and all those clairvoyant skills are waking up, you know, all over the place. It does make sense that we wouldn't have to leave our body to go, you know, and understand any more than we don't have to leave the state we live in to go look and visit another state or another city. We don't have to go anywhere. We can stay on our couch and visit, you know, another country. We can go look at other planets. In our ideology, then we'd just be on 3D, right? However, truthfully, you know, if we think about it that way, lucid dreaming for me, that's how it is that I don't have to leave my body to go and visualize and see those things. I'm just, you know, there having a live chat, you know, some sort of a Zoom experience with whatever I'm talking to. And it was just such a sweet experience. I ended up hiking out to, it's called Rock Pond, and it's completely frozen over, which is really cool because the only other time that I've been over there, I went to the upper pond, and I was not asked to go there. I was asked to go to Rock Pond. I thought, okay, you know, I've been down there, and, you know, I gotta get back because my cat, you know, and like, yeah, just keep walking. Keep snowshoeing, baby. And I got out there, and guess what? There was a whole other boulder there that me and the boulder, we bonded for a while. I laid down on it and just took in some sun and started chatting with the sun, started chatting with this boulder. And it was just the sweetest experience because I could hear, again, you know, like chatter, like life, sitting in the midst of a village square or something, in some little village that I've never seen before, never heard of, you know, didn't know existed, and yet it's teeming with life. And it's very collaborative, cooperative life that's very loving and kind and very active and very much alive, you know, and doing its own thing, and yet inviting me in, you know, to those places where I was very much welcome to be there. 2112, I was welcome to be there. And those places that this is, you know, the quiet zone, just shuffle on through. And there was also one that was, this is just like going by the church or something, I don't know, this is very reverent, you know, offer your offering and, you know, thank you, humble, and keep it moving. And as I made my way back, like I said, it was almost, I think it was exactly 8.0 miles, you know, that I ended up doing, which is really wild. Totally love the numbers, and especially 8 because that's my favorite one. But on my way back, there was yet another boulder that I'd kind of gotten, you know, a little, you know, on my way out, you know, but on my way back to my car, I stopped, you know, I just felt myself stop and like, oh, okay. And then I looked and went, oh my God, that's right. You know, we were kind of, I heard you on the way over, and yet I had other things I had to do. So I stopped and started looking at this big giant rock, and it had a crack in it. And there was this hole. I mean, I could go on for days. And it already sounds pretty kooky unless you're right there going, yeah, I've had this experience too, or I want to. You can too, I promise you. But there was this whole story and this whole thing, you know, with this crack and how that was relevant and what that meant, you know, to something metaphysical meaning for me, and how that, you know, story went with the rock and all of that. But it was just so cool to understand at a whole new level that there are different civilizations, if you will, different villages, different energies, different dimensions that are all happening simultaneously. That the movies that we've created for all these years, these fantasy films, you know, they come from our imagination, we assume, and yet, you know, some people would call it my imagination that I'm tapping into, and then, okay, call it whatever you want to. However, you know, it has a very similar vibe, and it has a very similar sound and feel and things like that. And, you know, we could say that that's a suggestion of things that have already been implanted and all of that. And I don't go there because I think that's probably reverse engineering, that we already understand dimensionally far better than we give ourselves credit for, because we turf it off to, you know, that's just fanciful imagination and cool, you know, then great. I want to live in that, because that was some of the most refreshing, restorative, fun, you know, giggling, having a good time, you know, and imagining, you know, all of these things, or experiencing all of these things through whatever vehicle you label that really brought me to a place of peace and calm, and helped me to get back in touch, that when by the time I was lying on that boulder catching the sun, I could really burn off some old, you know, fear about my cat and, you know, no, and some dark stuff that's been going on, and really be in that prayerful space, communing with my higher self, my team, and all of those things that are here supporting light workers, healers, energy workers, chosen people, however you identify that, the people that are working to, help usher in new earth energies and be supportive of seeing that transition with kindness and compassion and as much forgiveness in our hearts as we can find. And I was feeling pretty grumbly, with just some things that I'm worried about my cat, and I already have another one that's blind and deaf and she's got a heart murmur, and I just had to take her in last month and I can't deal with another pet death. And I was going off the rails a little bit, maybe a lot, with just my own human beingness, and I can't expect that I'm gonna not be human anymore. That's ridiculous, and I don't want to. However, I also don't want to be so wrapped up in my human beingness that the fear factor is what keeps me from enjoying thoroughly being a human being while also being a multidimensional being. If I forget and get too human, then I forget about my multidimensionality. And if I get too multidimensionality, then I might not get my cat to the vet. So you see, it's quite critical for me to stay connected and yet, release any idea that, well, that's just, craziness, or that's just that or the other. Whatever anybody else would call it, that was me restoring my psyche, my human beingness, to a much better place that wasn't as cranky, wasn't as scared, wasn't as bothered, wasn't as annoyed, and agitated, that I walked out of that, 3, 4, whatever hours later going, oh, okay, then this is really okay. My cat is going to be okay. My cat is okay. He's in really good hands. He's being very well taken care of, and I'm good, and these things that have been on the back burner kind of, grumbling and bumbling around and stuff is just, it's irrelevant because it didn't make it into the forest with me. Then I don't have to pick it up on my way back out. I have to be a responsible grown-up and all of that, and that's fine. However, there's nothing about that says that I have to fall into some, state of doom, gloom, and back to 3D matrix where I plug back in and go, oh no, no. That's the least effective part of me, is to get too attached to 3D and what's happening, here. In order for me to be 2626, that's 88. Wow, thank you. In order for me to be a more effective light worker and energy healer and energy worker or starseed, all these things, in order for me to be more effective in managing my energy, then I need to release and let go of the 3D, to go ahead and unplug and, go take the programming of this is how you suddenly learn Taekwondo or whatever it is, like Neo did in the Matrix, let yourself go into that. And that's what it was going through the forest, is go meet some of these different energies that some of them came with me in consciousness. Some of them, they stayed right there. That, we're villagers that everybody doesn't travel with you, which again, that was my own ignorance to just assume that all of the natural world wants to work with everybody all the time, and they have their own identities, if you will, without causing an anthropomorphosis session here. I don't mean to do that. I'm just saying 27, that they have their own identities, they do their own work, and they're doing their own thing to heal and recover, and migrate towards the earth transition as well. And so we all, ideally, we all work for the collective good. We're not all working at the same time, and we're not all working on the same things at the same time, even when we are working at the same time, if that makes sense. That we need periods of recuperation and restoration, even the natural world, there's no part of it that would not need recovery time. And as these energies are harsh and bombarding the planet, a lot of upgrades are happening, and it's causing people to kind of, dive off the deep end. It's also causing people to open up. The third eye activations are immense, and, the solar eclipse that's coming is a real biggie. And so as we continue to prepare for that, that's why I'm making this, is just to put it out there that, if some of these things sound kooky and yet they resonate, maybe suggest that you start talking to a tree. I have not ever hugged a tree, honestly, that it hasn't hugged me right back. I have a very good working relationship with trees specifically. However, it doesn't mean that, a blade of grass or, ladybugs, birds, whatever. I mean, anything that is speaking to us, that is speaking very kindly, lovingly, and supportively, I would say move towards that, especially actually almost exclusively. Yeah, exclusively if it's not a human face. Not right now. And it's not to say that we can't be in relationship with people and loving the people around us if we are. It's just to say that when we plug into earth or natural world or something else in a very high vibrational way, it supersedes what other human beings are doing. It supersedes what we're doing because we're connecting into a higher vibrational field. And that's not a slam on the highest vibrational people on the planet. It's just that the natural world has a beat on this far better than we do, and has, the ability. You're on like a Zoom call with all of the natural world. However, your primary caller or the person or the entity, is primarily the boulder. However, it's connecting into all of that higher energy. So I hope that's made sense. And I hope that you enjoy as these energies keep pushing. It's pushing us to either lose our minds or, consider that there really is something very different going on here. And I think I'll give it a try. It couldn't hurt. I mean, every time that I've considered, well, this sounds dumb. Yeah, okay, so who's here with you? Who's here with you that's going to tell you that it's dumb? It's just you. And what is that you that's talking? That's old programming. Oh, okay, well, we can delete that now. We don't need to do that right now. No, we don't need to, because it could possibly keep me from having a very healing and restorative experience that I don't care what it's called. I know how I understand it. I know how I perceive it. And if other people can receive it and benefit from it and learn how to do that themselves in some way, then that's a beautiful thing. And if they don't, then it still doesn't change the fact that that is exactly what my soul needed to reach a place of balance again when I was, really feeling quite challenged in that moment. Not to mention, it's just good to breathe mountain energy and get some exercise and blow off that stuff, from my body itself. It was a great experience. So as we push forward with these energies, and we're seeing, perhaps some things falling apart around us, it's okay. Try to stay as anchored as possible in whatever way it is that brings you to that place of balance, and believing that there really is a higher order in this. There really is, the ability to meet all of this with kindness, compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, all kinds of things, because love is really, truly the embracing presence that is just overwhelming the earth. And it's what's causing all of that darkness to really get kicked up. And it seems counterintuitive that it's because it's here, that great presence, and so many, off-planet stuff. I was just talking about one little hike in, one spot on the earth. There's millions and millions and millions of places, not to mention off-planet higher dimensional beings and interdimensional beings and stuff. And it's really bringing in that new vibration, and it's causing people that have been, really okay with the darkness to really, really, really be pushed up against walls to decide, are you sure you really like doing that dark thing that way? And it's causing a lot of reaction and confusion. However, we don't have to jump into it with them, or join the confusion, or bite off on the notion that that's really what's real. If we're ready to, take on a new understanding, then we can create a brand new deal. And I highly encourage you to do so, because even if nobody else understands it, I do. And I encourage you to go meet all those wonderful little thingies that live in your house or around your house or somewhere. I don't know. They're somewhere near you, in you, around you. You wouldn't have to look far. I don't believe. Not in my experience. You wouldn't have to look very far. So have fun on your Easter egg hunt and enjoy yourself, and have a beautiful day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It is so, 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 so fine. And it knows how to pick up that line, to connect with what can talk to you, what would be the best medium to do that, and to help channel that with you. It's a very loving process. It's very kind, and it may take a little bit of, challenging the mind to get over how stupid or crazy or dumb or not, all of that. It might take a minute to get past that, but boy, when you do, please let me know how that went for you. I can't wait to hear. So anyway, as I said, take care of yourselves and enjoy your day, and get within your skin, because you're divine, so, so beautiful, magical, and so, so fine. Take care of your beautiful selves. 33, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye, my dear friends. Mwah.